Alright, let's do a quick recap. So let's see what we got. So we started today with me talking about how to handle this, and basically you have to go get the Starbound Vor mod, and you can go GitHub, get simple Starbound Vor mod, then you have to navigate the Git, and then Git will look like this. You want to go to the releases, and then in the releases you can go download the zip file, which will be the thing you want, and then you can go find your Starbound folder, and it's going to be somewhere in your Steam folder, depending on if you have Steam. In my case, Steam Apps. So Steam Apps, Common, Starbound, and then we're going to go to Mods, and then you would take this thing and, hey look, those folders are already in here. I would drag those over to extract them in there, and you're going to end up with the template, the characters, overall blah, the mod, and the VSO. What we want to do is copy paste the template, which we did, and then we renamed it to Z Extras. And inside of the Z Extras, you'll see that we have a bunch of folders where we then started editing. And so once we started editing it, we're going to need some tools. And some of the tools you're going to need this A sprite or some other competent sprite editor. You're going to want to have a JSON lint floating around so that you can actually validate your JSON. There's a bunch of them. And you're going to want some sort of decent text editor, be it Notepad, Atom, Electron, whatever you want to do. Don't care how, as long as it's got syntax highlighting and can format with tabs. And so we got those tools ready to go. So let's start looking at stuff, and then we go into the SPOV, and we're like, okay, there was an object, we renamed it, we renamed all of the creature template stuff to the zground flat plant, and then we went from there and went through each of these files. The recipe is so you can spawn it in the store. Then the vehicle, in the vehicle folder, vehicles SPOV, had to be renamed to zground flat plant, and then from there we have our animation file, and the AE sprite file is actually the thing that we built today. So this is the pixel crap itself, and it's got multiple layers. So this allows you to hide and show layers. You can go in and draw as normal if you want. Whoop-de-doo. And then you can use arrow keys to navigate. You can do enable onion skinning if you care about animations. There's selections involved. You have erases and fills. I mean, it's fine. And then you have all sorts of extra tools where if I'm selecting and I've filled and I want to use the magic wand, then I can actually change this and contract, and then I can delete or fill with a different color. So you can do pillow shading really easily. There might be shortcuts for that. And in this, we can choose what we want to see when we export. If you want to move keyframes around, you can click one of these little dots and then mouse towards the border and drag it. Then you can arrange stuff however you want. Always have the blank frame at the front. Whenever you're doing sprite editing, make absolutely sure to edit your sprites so that it is consistent with the size of characters in Starbound. This is essential. Don't make characters that don't fit this size. Try and match Starbound style as best as you can. I know it's tough. It's tough for everybody. We'll all figure it out. So that's AE sprite file is not part of Starbound. That's only there for your convenience so that you can get started. The frames file has to have a corresponding PNG file. Every image in Starbound will have one of these. This defines the cells to use. You'll notice that in our example here, that with the plant, we have a 2 by 10 cell where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You'll notice correspondingly that these cells are also what we use to format the idle animation, where we got frame 2, 3, 2, 4. So 2, 3, 2, 4. And that's how that animation is. And in the animation file, the idle has 4 frames. It takes 1.5 seconds. And this frame properties is useful for later if you want more advanced code-driven animation. You don't have to have this entire section. You could just delete it. You do have to have mode end in the animation file, otherwise the animation system won't work. Okay, so we've got the idle and the full animations, pretty simple. And that was the frames file, which has the corresponding PNG file. Whoop-de-doo. The vehicle file is the workhorse. It has all the good stuff in it. This is where it defines the linkage for the scripts and how it's going to run. A lot of the vehicle stats. If you want to have multivore, you're going to have more than one seat. A seat is how you eat people, so we have just one driving seat in this case. You could have other things if you want to have more. Bounding box, this is what you're clicking on and how you're interacting. But the collision poly is what takes up the space, so this is kind of what, if your thing was going to move, this is what we'd be using. We had to adjust these. There's a whole bunch of other stuff in this VSO section that you can care about. You can add the victim animations, some extra data to import. A lot of good stuff here. The vehicle's the main part of the script, and then we get into the Lua, which is the code. So everything else was linking everything together. So these are all the linking information. The vehicle, the frames, the animation, and now we have the scripts. Let's look at the build item script first. This is allowing you to create memory for one of these things. So if you wanted a SPOV to store information when it was broken and put back in your inventory, this is how you do it. You can have default values. In this case, we had to edit this because we didn't care about the name. So we changed our get item status string to just be nothing instead of the name plus the default description. This is the current string equals the string, add another string in lieu of syntax. So this adds the default description to nothing. So then it's just going to say a fat leaf plant that traps unsuspecting passerbys. You can edit all this other stuff too, depending on the complexity of your SPOV. This can get ugly. The dyno actually has a lot of that, especially with the recolor stuff. But this is where you edit things that you want to be saved when the item is broken from the world. Now back to the main Lua script. It's important to have a plan. I like putting the plans on the top of the script. Today we didn't even get to most of this stuff, but we do have a at least working thing. So in your Starbound folder, you're going to have the Win32, Win64 potentially, depending on your OS. I'm Win64, so I run starbound.exe. You do not have to be running Steam when you run Starbound. Hopefully that doesn't change. Chucklefish, love you Chucklefish. And then we go over here, and this is our plan. We have the little flappy doodles, but we didn't put it in a separate layer, so they don't flap separately, which is what we'd want to do to complete our plan. If you walk over it, it does eat you, in fact. So let's go buy one real quick from the Bellybound store. Because we made the item... where did we get? Man, working in this HD screen is torture. Where did I go? Okay. So anyway, this recipes folder. This is where you define how it's going to show up in the Bellybound store. It links it there. So now it's actually going to be in the VSO tab. Thanks to Shates' work. Thank you very much. And then this is it. We can buy it. Great. So we buy one. And now we can place it and see what it does. Bought an SPOV. Click what we do. So the way we coded it, as we go look at our Lua, we kind of told it if you walk over it, it eats you. And in fact, we have a state idle. And it says, okay, is somebody actually on me in the middle? If so, then have I waited long enough? And if I have, then it eats them, bam. And then if you get eaten, you have some noises play every 1 to 8 seconds. Then we check if the animation is currently ended, and if it has, we go to the full state, because the animation goes to full every time. There's some noises. And if we've waited long enough, then if I press any button, then I will immediately escape. Click. Yay. Works like a champ. So we have a default working SPOV that works in game. And now from there we could get started adding all the rest of the advanced features. So that's what we got done today. And I also explained how this works. If you're a creator, you make your own template folder with your own name. In this case, I use the extras. You'd use your own name and then adjust your metadata file to reflect that. It's easy. It's just a lot of string replacing. And if you're just getting started and you're heavy on the scripting, you're going to want to go to the Simple Vormod VSO scripts for VSO Simple, and this is where all the heavy lifting is done, and you can find all the functions that I have in here and probably bugs. Please help me. But that's what we went through today, was going from nothing to a fully functional, but maybe not working correctly yet, SPOV. So all of that, basically, it took more time to sprite than anything else, since there's a lot of explanation. So let me know how you think that goes, and we'll add the advanced stuff in other tutorials. Thanks for watching.